My name is Delaina Burns and I'm with you tonight on Live with Prima. I have a mini printer style tray to share with you tonight where I've used some of the Prima packaging, some of the wood icons Prima packaging, and trying to get this in the camera, and lots of trinkets, and I think some of our pieces are maybe turned around backwards. Lots of trinkets and pieces from my stash, and anyway, I'm terrible at showing these ahead of time. So I want to go ahead and let you know a few announcements. We have Julie Nutting coming on Tuesday, July the 7th. And if you looked on the blog today, if you haven't, go take a peek. She has some brand new summer release items that she's going to be using in her show on Tuesday. They look absolutely adorable. So I'm excited to see Julie on Tuesday with her new release. And also for everybody in the United States, happy 4th of July this weekend. Y'all be safe and have a fun time with your family. I'm going to go ahead now and move my phone and pan down. Carrie, if you miss seeing me or hearing me or something, if somebody will text me. But I'm going to go ahead and pan down and get started, so y'all bear with me just 1 second. Not having to fight with the camera so much tonight, that's a good thing. Just try to straighten it up here a little bit. I want to get a little bit closer to the project tonight so you can kind of see the bits and pieces and details. And what I have done here is taken some of the the wood icon packaging that comes like this. I've emptied it out, and you see you get this cute little printer style tray. These little wood trays with the release, the last two releases, they are different sizes, different releases. So I've used the ones from the Garden Fable collection and the Debutante collection. They are the exact same size, and they have sort of the same inside dividers here. So these little trays measure about 4 1/4 by a little over 4 1/4. So it's just a little bigger on one side than square, but it's pretty much a little square box. I have actually grouped 4 of these together and attached them. I'll go ahead and show you my one I have semi-completed. I went ahead and did some work way ahead so that we would be really good on time tonight. I didn't want to run a long time over, so I went ahead and adhered these down. And what I've done is I've just taken a canvas, just an 8 by 8 canvas, and you see this was a burlap canvas. It can be any 8 by 8 piece of paper that you have, or I'm sorry, canvas that you have. You could use actual just some stiff chipboard. I don't want my papers to all fall out. You could use some stiff chipboard, but you can see the little cracks in the corners here where I've just glued using some Fabri-Tac. You could also use hot glue the 4 trays to this canvas, and that gives us a pretty sturdy backing for that, so that we don't have a lot of movement once we get these attached. I did put a little glue in between here too, and then the way I clipped it, I didn't have anything small enough to kind of clamp these. I didn't have small enough clamps, so I used these little office clips, and I just put my glue in there, sort of adhered it down, put a clamp there, one on each edge of the corners where they're connecting, and you could even put them on the inside here where they connect. And then I put a heavy bottle of, I think I actually said like a bottle of Clorox down, just something heavy here to sort of hold that down until it all dried. Then I went back and really quickly I took a piece of Garden Fable paper. I'm going to grab that paper. I just took the A4 pad. I've got the A4 pad here, and I've used these A4 pads so much. They come in really handy for projects like this, and cards, just any kind of project. I've used these for layouts, but I love the A4 pad. This is number, let me see where the number is on this. This number is 847333, and it's the Garden Fable A4 pad. So what I did was I took this piece of paper and I just totally eyeballed this. I did not take a lot of pains with this. I grabbed kind of a darker pen and just kind of laid it in my boxes here, and just did a little mark here and pulled it up a little, did a little mark there, and then with my scissors I just kind of whacked these out, really just eyeballing them for real. Just kind of cut that out and just placed it inside my little box areas here. Some is a little too large, so I had to kind of cut them down. Some might be showing a little bit of the inside box. That didn't really worry me, because what I did to prep these boxes before well, actually after I glued them down, once I had everything glued down and pretty much in place, I went over the entire surface with the heavy white gesso just to sort of prime the whole thing. Just covered all of it with the gesso. And I'm not going to do that on camera just for time purposes, but just know first you do a coat of gesso, and then I went back with some tea stain bloom spray. And this is not the tea stain. Let me grab my tea stain. I used some tea stain bloom spray and just sprayed the entire surface and let that dry. I only did one coat. I didn't want a lot of coverage because I knew I was going to do like a lace technique, and also I kind of wanted that natural sort of color. So just one coat of tea stain. I allowed that to dry. Then I inserted all of my papers. I used the backs and the fronts of this paper. You can see the front has this really dark kind of pink color, if I can get that to focus. Is it going to focus? But it has this really dark pink color. And I just sort of moved that color around my surface there. You see, a lot of it is just script. And I'll have some close-up pictures, so if you want to duplicate this, you can kind of add the color where I did. But it really doesn't matter, just as long as you sort of have it kind of balanced around and you do get some of that color. So what I've done, I've saved this square right here to show you my little quick technique and how I adhered down these little pieces of paper here. Got my soft matte gel. I love the soft matte gel. I've gone through a couple of bottles of this at present. So, and just kind of a paintbrush that I've used over and over. It's gotten really stiff just from using the gel with it. So you want a pretty stiff paintbrush, because we're going to actually do some stippling in of our little lace pieces in just a minute. But for now, I want to show you, I'm just going to kind of pull these out. I'm going to use my scissors to kind of pull these pieces out. And what I did is got all these laid down just like I wanted them. And then I went back just like I'm showing you. I pulled each piece up, filled the inside with the soft matte gel, added a little bit to the back, and you'll have this all over your fingers before you're done. Then just kind of pounce it in and add another layer to the top. And I just continuously repeated that same action all the way across. A little bit to the back here, and to lay that in, and then a little bit more on top. You just want to be sure that all the corners and everything of that is kind of laid down. And like I said, you'll have the matte gel literally all over your fingers. And back when I did the first project, the next day I literally was still kind of picking off the matte gel. It kind of was everywhere, but that's okay. I don't mind sticky fingers, and it dries, and then you can just kind of peel it away. Some people kind of enjoy that peeling off factor, so perfectly okay. Just continue, and like I said, I'm doing this just to this one square here. I've already done it to the other 3 areas of my tray, so just want to be sure that I get all of these. Just fill it in, and if you happen not to get a corner down well, you can go back later and just saturate it with the matte gel, and it will lay right down for you. You can keep some baby wipes close by if you don't want to run back and forth to the sink washing your hands, but I just keep some baby wipes close by to wipe my hands up. So that's going to be that for the bottom of our tray. So you can kind of see what we've got now. Just kind of our natural color with just a little bloom spray on there. This next little technique I'm going to do is I want to add a lace covering of paper all over. The first thing I did is actually add it to my edges. And I did that. I want to keep my gel right there. I took just some printer paper. This was white, just plain printer paper. It's going to ruin my focus. This is just white printer paper, and I sprayed it with a coat of the tea stain bloom spray. I just sprayed the entire thing with the bloom spray and the tea stain color. And then, for time's sakes, here, I won't put that back under there to ruin my focus. Then I used this Prima die to these two to cut out little doily flower shaped dies. These make a really pretty little doily shape, or lace shape I should say. Flower, you can see, and I did both, and I may actually have two in here, but I cut 3 at a time this way. So, and then using the 2 dies, I got 6 pieces each time I cut, so it was a real time saver doing that. So what I did with these pieces is on the outside edge, I actually covered all the way around first with these. With this particular one, if you're just going to do the outside, you can kind of cut it in half, grab your matte gel, and this is going to get really messy on your hands. You could wear a glove for this, or you could do it on your mat. It's just pretty easy for me just to kind of saturate it on my fingers here. And this fits pretty good right on the edge here. And I did this all the way around. I have this one little section right here that I did not do on the outside. So what you want to do is just lay that down with your paintbrush. Just work that right down. Saturate your brush a little bit more if you need to, and just kind of pounce that down right in place. And that gives you a real pretty lacy edge all over, if you can kind of see that. And just kind of pounce that flat with your brush. Is that showing for you? I think you're kind of getting that on the camera, but you can see just all down around all 4 sides you've got that lacy texture. Then what I did to the inside, I've already worked on these 3 boxes here. We're going to work on this one. I just took more of the doilies in my hand, saturated the back of them with the matte gel, and then just kind of laid it right across. Kind of see there, laid it right across my little walls here, and just pounced it right down with my brush. Keep your brush pretty saturated. It's going to kind of break apart, and that's fine. That just kind of adds to that lacy sort of irregular texture. And in person it looks really, really pretty. So you're getting some lace even into the bed of your boxes, and that is really nice too. So I'm just going to continue with this technique all across this box that we have left. Just going to kind of lay it in, keep my brush saturated, and pounce. It's really fast, and it's just a really pretty technique to kind of get it in there. Just saturate that, lay it in. You want to be sure to kind of go across your 2 joined areas there really good. You'll have a little tiny crack kind of down in your wood where you've joined them, and you can cover that up really nicely with this little lace paper. So just keep pouncing that in and down, grabbing another one. This would have taken forever to have done this whole thing, so that's why I worked ahead on a lot of it. So I want to be sure and get my center area here, so I'm just working that in, pouncing that down. Sticks really quick. It dries really fast too. The matte gel is very fast drying. I tried to get the bloom spray on both sides of my printer paper so that I didn't have to worry about figuring out which side. I knew I didn't want this white. I wanted a little of the tea stain color, so you need to spray both sides of your printer paper. And I just kind of placed it in front of a fan for a few minutes to let it dry. But you can see this is really fast, and I know it's probably hard to see on camera the actual depth of color you get, but it really just adds a really fun layer of texture, and it just gives it a finished look too. It no longer looks like packaging. It looks like a really pretty finished printer's tray box. It's just kind of like that little finishing touch. Sometimes you just need that little finished edge, and that's kind of what it gives you. It's just that little finished touch. I just want to be sure that I've got all of my edges covered here, and I don't quite in this area, so I'm going to add just a little bit right there. So just kind of go back once you think you're done, and just add where you need to add. You don't have to cover the entire thing, but I do deliberately want to get this inside cut here. And if you just have a small place that you need some, just you can break those off. I just need a little bit right there, so just add it. Just tear it and add it right where you need it. I want a little bit right here to the inside of this, and it doesn't matter if it's ripped and tearing or whatever. Just pounce it down. I'm just sort of making sure I'm holding it up so I can see that I've got it kind of pounced all into the corners and flat all the way through. And that is pretty much it for that technique. I want to add one more just right there in that corner. Just one more little piece right here, and then we are done. Just right there. You see, you just kind of fold it over, and it tears and whatever. It just still works and looks really, really nice. So that is that. And y'all, as soon as I think I'm done, I see one more little area, and I do see a little bit of my center showing there. So I want all that little opening that's showing definitely covered. So that definitely gets that. So okay, for real this time, that was the last one. I just want to kind of get that all in there, so y'all can kind of see that is that for that technique, and that little bit of texture. I'm going to clean my hands off as best I can with these wipes, and you can kind of peel this away. It takes just a minute, but you can peel this away. I'm using several baby wipes to do that. So if you'll bear with me 1 minute, let me clean up my hands. And we will move on to the next step. I'm going to grab a paper towel too. It'll help kind of get it off there. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is move on to our floral cluster, if I can talk. I want to add one of the pretty doll face resin flowers. I know y'all seen them on the blog, and a few girls have actually made things with them. I've done a couple of things with them, and I know Miranda has, and I think Bona's going to be showing you something later on. So a few of us have definitely worked with them, and I really do like them. I think they are very pretty and very cool. So I'm going to place my brush in some water, and I still got glue everywhere, but that's okay. What I've done with our flower is I went ahead and colored it with some bloom spray, and I colored it really well with the bloom spray, and then I just sort of dabbed most of the color off of the actual doll's face. So she is colored, but I just didn't want a lot of color on her face for now. I want to go back in and I want to use the Plumeria bloom spray with her, and I've got a few other things that I've actually used the bloom spray on. I just want to kind of show you a few of my pieces. I'm using these what is this, archival casts. These were released just a little while ago, and they're gorgeous. They're just a grouping of different crosses, and I've taken this particular one and I've added a little bit of chain, but I used the Plumeria bloom spray and just gave it a really good coating. So you can see, I feel like everything's kind of blurry on here, or it may just be me, but anyway, that's got a really good color on it. And then this one here, this small one, you can see I've taken these two out of the packaging here. This small one here, I actually did the same technique with the texture from the and I forgot about that, from the little flowers. I just again saturated. I'm gonna do it on my table here this time so I don't get it back on my fingers. I get back on camera here. I saturated the little flower with the matte gel, and then I just laid the entire piece, and this is just a piece of one of the flowers. I laid it right across the little cross here, and I just kind of pounced it down, giving it just a minute to adhere. Just pounced it all down, and it gives it a really pretty, you see it's going to kind of break away here on the table as I'm kind of pouncing. So just kind of continue pouncing and let it adhere, and you're going to get a really pretty soft texture. Keep your brush pretty saturated with the matte gel so that you're not pulling it back off. That's kind of the trick here. If you're using a dry brush, it's going to grab it and pull it back off. So if you keep your brush pretty saturated, you're not going to have that problem. So you can see I'm just pouncing it down in all the corners, and it just gives it a really pretty, we can get this into focus, can you kind of see, it gives it a really pretty lacy texture, and it just kind of mimics what we've done in the box, and it looks really pretty on the cross. Just adds just enough detail and just enough texture, and we didn't even have to color it or anything. It's already got the little bloom sprayed paper, so you can see it's just, and you're getting the focus on my mess on my hands too, but that's okay, we'll wash all that away later. Okay, so that's what we've done with the two crosses here. Bloom spray for one, and we did the paper texture on the other. So I'm just going to kind of lay these to the side. I'm just going to kind of show you how I prepared most everything in the box. So we'll let those dry. I'm having a little trouble. My finger was dry, so it's pulling my paper off. So just be sure not to touch that until it's nice and dry. So we'll just put this away for just a minute, put a brush back in water and wipe up some of our mess here. Wipe up some of our mess, move our crosses over out of the way. Next thing I want to do is thinking of working on our floral cluster here. I want to get our focus back in. Okay, we got our focus. Okay, working on our floral cluster. I used a few of these brand new leaves, number 581138, and it's just kind of a craft color bag of leaves, and I want to get just a few of these. I don't use leaves a lot, but I love these. I love the texture. They're very stiff and thick paper, so I just want to grab a few of these. They come in different sizes. They're darker on one side, lighter on the other, so it gives a really nice shadowing effect. So let's just grab a few of these. I don't really remember. I know I need a few more small ones. I don't really remember how many I used, but let's just grab a few of them. There comes a lot of them come in a bag. So these are brand new, just released. So, and they're really close to the same color with this bloom spray. They're just a shade off, but you can see they match really well. I'm pulling my flower apart. They match really well with the bloom sprayed flower. So, and tell you that too, I went ahead and pulled this flower apart and made sure I soaked all the layers so that everything was really colored there well. I just need to add a little bit more glue to the back of that one. So that's a trick too. If you want to get your flower really saturated and the entire thing colored, you can kind of pull the layers apart and spray it separately like I did. So what I did with my Plumeria bloom spray, I wanted to just kind of color the edges of these leaves. So I grabbed a paintbrush. And now Prima has these beautiful new paintbrushes. So grabbed a paintbrush, and what I did is just pour a little out. I just want to pour just a little bit out on my non-stick mat here because I only want to use just a dab. Go ahead and put my top back on. I do that because too many times I have turned my bottle over. So I don't want to leave my bottle sitting there open. I'm going to just move our tray back out of the way for now. And my scissors. What I did is I just picked up just a little bit of this color on my brush. Let's get you back in focus here, or back in camera view. Just picked up a little bit of color here, and with a just sort of a scrunched up paper towel, wiped off a lot of the color, and then just kind of touched the edges of these leaves. I just wanted a little bit of color on the edges. So you can see I'm just kind of painting that on. Just a little. Just like that. Not a lot. And it doesn't add a lot of detail, but it does add just a little color, just a little bit of detail. So I'm just going to continue to do 4 or 5 of these so that we've got something to play with. And I'm just using kind of what's left on the brush. I saturated the brush pretty good, looks like. So I'm just kind of using what's on the edge. Can you kind of see? Not a lot of color. This is a little bit less than that one, but anyway, it just adds just a little pop, and it pulls that pinky burgundy looking red color. It's this Plumeria. Y'all know my southern accent. There's no telling how you're really supposed to say that, Plumeria, but I would love to read the chat to see how we're really, maybe I'm saying it right though. I don't know how we would say it. Okay, so that's pretty. Let's do one more small one just to be sure. And if I don't use all these, I will already have these ready, and I'll use them on another project later because I know I'll be coloring more of them. So let's just move on from there. Rinse our brush just a little bit, and I'm going to save our color there just a minute because we may go back to that. Lay our leaves to the side, let them dry, and they'll dry just a second. We didn't add much, so they'll take just a minute. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and add some glue to my layer here so that we're glued back. And this gets, after you've sprayed it with the bloom spray and it dries, it gets a little bit stiffer feel because I want to kind of roll these. I want to kind of roll these in just a little bit more toward the little face. So just kind of roll that in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab again the brush and a little bit of this color, and I'm just going to touch the edge. Didn't get quite enough. I'm just going to touch the edge of a few of these petals. So just going to touch the edge just because I want a little bit of that color, accent a little bit of that on this flower. I'm not doing a whole lot to the face. I just really wanted to accent the flower. So this takes just a minute. Not worried about being real neat. I want to get it pretty close to the edge, but if you happen to move in and it smears a little bit in, it's totally okay. You just want a hint of that color, and I'm just still picking up. And you don't have to do every petal, but I am getting most of them, I think. Be careful with this dark color not to touch your face if you don't want to leave the color on the face. It will it'll stain the face pretty quick because this color is so dark. So if you don't want to live with it on your doll face, you might not want to put it there. But can you see? That just adds a little more detail, just a touch of color for some contrast for your tray, and also just a little more detail on your actual flower. So, and you can see she just rolls in like a pretty little daisy, almost like she's blooming. So just kind of, she's going to be right there, so I'm going to kind of put her in place. Move our leaves. Let's wipe up our mess. I may come back to our color, so I'm going to leave my brush in the water there. So we got all of our leaves, and let me show you real quick. We got our flower ready. I'm just kind of trying to see what all I need to color. That's pretty much everything that I colored, except we've got a few angels that I'm going to be using. I want to go ahead and color these up real quick too. I'm going to use these resin angels, and I'm just kind of pointing out to y'all that the majority of what I'm using are kind of leftovers from other projects that I have done. That particular flower that I used is, let me find the packaging. That flower, I forgot to tell you that flower is number 583248. I'm also going to use this package of flowers. I have one of these left from another project. It's 583224. I'll be using that in just a minute. But for now, I'm going to use these resin angels, and you can see I've already used one out of the package, but I want to use these 4 small ones right here. And this was from a couple of CHAs ago, but the number is 573485. And these are really small little pieces. So just want to, I'm going to kind of open this up like this so I don't dump the rest of them out. I want to save the rest for another project later. So I just want to pull out these 4 little guys. So you can see I'm going to leave my packaging intact, and I've got 3 more to use on another project. That's why I know my product list for this project looks really big, but I'm not really using brand new packages of everything. I'm kind of going back and using from packages of things that I've already kind of dipped into, so you can make your packaging go a little bit farther. I don't want to put these under the camera because it's going to lose my focus, but I'm just kind of laying these angels on a paper towel because really quickly I'm going to give them a spray of Bloom Spray Worn Leather. Just really quick spray with the worn leather. I don't want a lot of color on them, just a little bit of color. And this bottle is just about empty, so I'll show you. It's not a lot, just a little bit of color, and then I'm going to go in and kind of dab off a lot of that too. I just kind of want it to seep down into the little crevices, and just add a little color and a little dimension to these little angels, or these little cherubs, whatever you want to call them. Angels, cherubs, they're labeled little angels. So you can kind of see, I want to give those a quick dry, if I can find them a dryer. And I know it's here somewhere. Oh, sorry about that. It's falling down in the floor. I knew I heard something fall a few minutes ago. So I just want to give these a quick dry. And since I didn't add a lot of color, it's going to take just a second for them to dry. See what time we got. Yeah, we got time. We're gonna get all this ready, and we're gonna do the last process here really quick. Next thing I want to do is pull out a little more of the Plumeria color. These little babies have little wings. In fact, I'm just going to spray some. I think I'm just going to do it like this. Let me just do a little spray here on my mat. And I want to just touch their wings. Just a little bit of color on their wings. Can you kind of see? I'll hold it up to the camera just as soon as I get them painted. But anyway, it just takes just a little bit of color on those wings to accent them just a little bit. Can't see much of his wing back there, but you can see it's just a little bit of color. It just kind of accents his little wings. And they have musical instruments. Is this going to focus? They have little musical instruments. Each one of them has a different instrument, and they're adorable. They're small and they're absolutely adorable. Okay, so just if you happen to miss the wing a little bit and get it on another part of the body, just kind of wipe it off. If you totally mess this up and don't like what you've done or whatever, you can always just rinse these with water and completely start over. So let's give these a quick dry. That little bit of spray on there. We didn't add a lot, so it just takes a second to dry those up. Okay, so we've got those. Now what I want to do is take a look at my project and see what else we need to prepare. The next thing we need to prepare is our little, I want to call it a bauble, but our little cloaks. Y'all tell me how to say that word. Frank did all these things in French, and I'm Southern. I can't speak French. But, and this is not, of course, a French project. I wanted to kind of cover up this word. I wanted to use this, but I really wanted to cover up that word. So a little trick to cover that up, I'm going to show you. And also I wanted to kind of adorn the top of it. So I used some of the blush colored micro beads. And this number is so small, I'm sure I'm not going to be able to read it, but it is on my product list. So it's the blush colored beads. And what I did really quick, I took my matte gel and I literally dipped this little bauble, whatever it is, down into the matte gel. Just dipped it right down in there. And then took a paper towel and wiped it right off the back. I just took it right off the back, leaving it on the front. I did end up with a little bit of kind of a point at the top of that. So what I did is take a paintbrush and just kind of skim off just a little bit of the paint, of the actual matte gel. And then I did have to kind of re-dip the tip of it again. And then what you can do is, you know, make sure you've got it off the back, because you want it to be pretty flat when you lay it into the into your box. So you can kind of smooth with your fingers, kind of like I've done too, but you're going to have a pretty thick coat of this gel. And what I did then is just sort of put the lid down and just sprinkled. And I normally have my felt under, but I failed to grab my felt, so it's across the room. So I'm going to have little beads going everywhere, because the felt, if you'll use the felt under where you're pouring, the felt will prevent them from flying everywhere. So you can see there's that. And it kind of may go a little irregular down or whatever. That didn't bother me. I kind of liked it like that. So I'm going to try to get these off in my hand and pour some back in there. Then you can just take your lid, pour it right back in, and it's ready for another project. wiping my mess up as I go. Okay, we got that. The next thing I'm going to do to cover up that little word, I love the little French word. I have no idea what that means. I can't pronounce it, and I don't know what it means. Okay, sorry about that. I'm off screen. Am I back on screen now? Oh, I didn't have the felt under there. What I did was I just had my beads, and I sprinkled the beads onto my little bauble here into my lid. But I didn't have my felt. If I had had felt, then the beads wouldn't have gone everywhere. I normally lay felt up under the area that I'm sprinkling, and then I don't have a problem with beads going everywhere. So that's what I was saying about the felt. So sorry I was off camera with that. But I don't have my felt today. But what I'm going to do now to cover up this word, because like I said, I have no idea what that word is. How is that word pronounced? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm going to add a little glue. I'm going to cover him up. We are never going to know that word was there. So that my Southern comes out big when I'm struggling to pronounce something. So I'm just going to take this little bit of trim, and this trim I have actually sprayed with our Plumeria spray, and this is Prima's lace trim number 577032, and you can see it's a white trim, and I've just sprayed it with the Plumeria and made it the plum color or pinky dark color. So I'm just going to kind of lay that down there. I used some Fabri-Tac. I just covered it with Fabri-Tac, and then I'm just going to snip this off right on the edge. I'm not going to worry about wrapping it around or anything because I really want it to lay flat. These scissors are not for fabric, obviously. See if we can get that cut. I'm not going to wrap it. I'm just going to cut it right to the edge, so you can see that is our little finished bauble. I'm calling it a bauble. So there you go. That's finished. We've got our pretty texture on the top and our lace covering that French word that I cannot pronounce. I don't have to pronounce it now. It's gone. Okay, the next thing I want to do is with our flower, I want to add some of the lace doily flower pieces to it just to kind of accent it. So I'm going to just kind of cut this up a little. Okay, I think that's still Carrie saying the same thing. And sorry, I can't say that word. So I'm just going to kind of cut this into pieces, kind of like this. And just going to kind of trim these down because I want the round outside edges kind of tucked into my flower, kind of like so. So I'm going to kind of cut these points off, and I'm adding a little Fabri-Tac. And you could use the you could actually use the matte gel for this as well, but Fabri-Tac's a little bit easier for me to handle. So since I've already got the matte gel all over my fingers, so I'm just going to add these a few at a time. And you'll see I'm just getting all our pieces prepared, and then once we add it to our box, it's going to go really quickly. So right now we're just fixing our little pieces. And I'm not going to add a lot of this. I just want it kind of in there. And I'm just kind of using the round top area. You kind of see the little top area of each of our petals. So from the little flowers, just kind of add those in there. Okay, I'm just going to add the little 5 petals for now, but you can kind of see it just adds a little more texture. Can you see that? Just gives you a little more texture. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple, and I want the 5 petal ones. I've got the 4 petals and the 5 petals, but I may not have any 5 petals left. Yeah, I do. I have a couple right here. Even if they're kind of torn on one side, I'm just going to add a little glue, and I'm going to kind of add it to the outside here. You can kind of see just to the outside there. And I want one on each side. Kind of want one on each side, kind of like that, just so we got that little lace moving around, about like that. That's going to take just a minute to dry. So what I'm going to do is kind of lay it on its face and give it just a minute to dry while we move on. I keep wiping glue. I've got glue everywhere on my hands. So, okay, let's clean up our mess and move on to our box. It's time to start kind of adding the pieces. First thing I want to do is our little flower cluster. So I want to grab some cardboard. I want to build up our little area here with some cardboard. You can see our little flower is going to kind of be right in this area here, so that it has something to adhere to. Ooh, cardboard's going everywhere. I'm going to fill our little box with cardboard. Just kind of poke it down in there so that it's nice and glued down in there. And this is going to be our first layer, our pretty little doll face flower. And y'all, these are so detailed and so pretty in person. And you color them up, and the leaf or the petals are kind of textured on this one. Then when you add these lace pieces, it's really, really pretty. And then you have these beautiful leaves. And I'm going to add, this is a new flower as well, 581121. I want to add one of these as well. And that's kind of that same taupey kind of craft color. And then we've got a few flowers here from Garden Fable. This is number 580803. And I want to grab, well, where's my opening? I want to grab the printed flowers. I want to grab this printed flower from each one. So I'm going to grab that one. And then in this pack here, number 580810, again, I want to grab that printed flower because I want that little bit of red. That's kind of where I got the idea of adding the red around, because you see it's kind of on these flowers, and that's kind of, I sort of mimicked that when I added it there. So we want the bigger rose. And also I want to get the printed one from this set, number 580780. Let's see which one I added. Yeah, let's grab the printed one from this one. I think it's actually at the top, but let's open this out. And y'all know I don't like dumping them, so I'm just going to kind of well, actually I'm going to grab this one right here. Let's just do this one. I think I needed a little bit smaller one. So it's sort of printed the same way. It's just on maybe a little bit more solid paper, but it's got the little bit of red you can see in there. We'll use that one, and I want one more from this pack as well. I want one of these roses. So let's grab one of these roses. And you can see how pretty the rose is. Okay. Okay, so we got our leaves. Little thing that I do with my leaves, grab my little tiny attacher. I like them, I don't like them in their natural state. I don't like them out and flat. I like them more pinched up. So I'm going to kind of pinch these up and add a staple. Same with these small ones. I'm going to kind of pinch them up, but I'm going to add a couple of these together like this. So I'm going to staple these to one another, kind of like so. It just feels like a more natural look to me. I kind of like them like that. So I want to grab let's grab two kind of the same size here. And these fold, and if you don't have the little staple gun, you can, and I'm out of staples. Of course I'm out of staples. Not going to worry about being out of staples. I'm just going to move on with a little bit of glue. You don't have to have the staples. You can see you can achieve the same thing. Just kind of smash these together, and then with a little Fabri-Tac, It's going to take just a second to dry. Staple gun's much faster. Add a little Fabri-Tac to each one and just kind of pinch those together, just about like that. I'm going to lay those to the side and let those dry for just a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start off with our, of course, with our flower right here. Just kind of, I want to kind of smash it down in there. I want to be sure it's nice and tight down in there. And right here in this corner, I'm going to add our larger rose, our larger printed rose, just right under here. Just sort of mesh those together. I'm going to add a little cardboard up under that because I want him kind of positioned in an up kind of position. So let's add a little cardboard under him so he doesn't get kind of lost right there, because I do want to be able to see him. I'm going to put my original one kind of standing up in front of me here so I can see it. Next thing I want to do is add this pretty flower right here with this nice center. Add some to the back, some glue to the back, I should say. And I'm just going to kind of lift this, and I'm kind of pressing both of these flowers kind of to the wall of this inside of this box here. Just press it kind of to the wall. Open your flower out. And then I want to grab our little leaves right here. We'll do our leaves last. I want to make sure I get all my flowers added first. The next thing I want to add is this little rose kind of over in this area. Kind of lift up your little lace and your flower. Add your rose. Kind of let the leaf kind of go over the edge. Kind of right in that corner. Pressing that cluster kind of together. Kind of like so. And then we've got this little flower here. I think I added him right about there. Just want to kind of fill this box here with flowers. And then on this side over here in this corner, we've got one more flower. So I want to add that there. Add that there. Ooh, dropped him. Just wipe your glue away. And just kind of turn these until you kind of feel like they fit together. I kind of like them to sort of fit kind of snug, kind of like they would in nature. Then what we're going to do is grab our larger leaf with the smaller leaf attached and just kind of tuck that in right about here. Just want to tuck that in. You may have to kind of manipulate and move things around, but just kind of get that tucked in. I don't want it to go over to the other side, so I really want to get it tucked in kind of tight here. So I'm just going to continue to manipulate my flowers until I can get it kind of tucked in, kind of like that right there. And then we've got these two smaller leaves here. A little glue to the back of them. They're not quite dry, but that's okay. Tucking them in is going to help them adhere. And I think with this one here, I think I want to change its direction. I think I'm going to pull these apart and add my larger leaf to the right and add my smaller leaf to the left. That's going to make me happier. And I've got so much glue on me, I'm going to have to use my scissors to kind of tuck this in. So y'all can see this cluster is pretty simple, pretty small, but it sort of creates most of what I need in this box area here. So just about like that right there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just start adding all of my pieces. I've got some of the wood icons from the that is the Garden Fable collection. So I want to use this little rose. I want to add a little cardboard kind of to my box here. Add a little glue to the back of your wood. Some of this stuff I'm going to pop up, some of it I'm not going to pop up. just turn this till it kind of fits in. I actually want to pop that up, I think, on 2 pieces of cardboard because I want that pretty high. I want that to really show. So pop that up again. We've still got glue there. So we're going to kind of turn this and place that in right about there. I just want to kind of distribute this color kind of all the way across my little thing here, my little box. So I also got a little keyhole here, a little wooden keyhole from this set. I want to make it pretty flat, so I'm just going to add a little glue kind of to each top and bottom of this, place it in right about here. And what I did to actually add these originally, I just kind of laid everything out and just sort of added it until it, you know, kind of matched. I sort of moved things around and wanted the color to be balanced and that kind of thing. I wanted the metals kind of balanced because they're also colored. So just no big deal. In my original, I did make these just a little bit darker than what they are now, but I'm really kind of liking them this lighter color. And just going to kind of tuck those in, add a little glue to these, lay them down, and I can't do anything without my little scissors, so I'm just going to kind of use my little scissors to get these glued down. I like the idea of these little boxes because, like, you can use all your leftovers, and it would be really nice even at like Christmas time to do a box for each one of your kids or grandkids or friends, and you can kind of personalize them, and you can just buy several packs of different embellishments that you're getting more than one in, and you can do several of these pretty inexpensively, especially since you're using the packaging. It just it would stretch those Christmas dollars or whatever for sure. So just kind of place those in there. Next, I've got our little bauble. Oh, and I actually, oh my goodness, I must have popped it on the way over with my little project. So just, if you do that, which I do these little crazy things all the time, just kind of lay it back down with your finger, and that's going to dry very, very clear. So I'm only going to add a little Fabri-Tac just to the bottom here where my actual trim is going to cover that up. And I'm going to place it in the box, having it touch right down on the bottom. So if you did remove some of your glass, some of your beads or whatever from there, you can always add a little more glue later and sprinkle those again. It'd be great to do that. Next, I want to add, this is from the Debutante collection, Let's Dance, My Darling is what this says. And I kind of used it as my title. I'm going to add a little cardboard behind it. So I'm going to glue my cardboard in first. I'm just going to center it. And then add a little glue to the back of my little wood phrase. And just be sure that your cardboard is hidden behind your, that you cut it small enough that it's hidden. So we've got that right about there. Next thing I want to add is the little purse. I'm just sort of pulling these. This is also from the Debutante collection. I'll add my little purse. I want to add a piece of cardboard behind it. I really didn't pop everything up, but I obviously popped quite a few things up. So add our little purse. That's a nice little touch. A little purse right there. And next, we want to add our little cross. And what I did is, there's a little, in the crosses, you have this little toggle for jewelry, kind of in the top. It's kind of screwed down in the top. I unscrewed those from the crosses, and I'm using them to actually dangle these pieces and a piece of the chain. I've got some of the Memory Hardware chain that I just sort of cut a piece off. This is number 990305. So I just was able with my Tim Holtz scissors to just cut off a little piece of the chain. And before we got started, I actually used my scissors for these inside holes, and I just twisted my scissors up into the wood, making just a big enough hole to push this little screw up in there. So I'm going to add a little glue to it first so that we're sure that it it adheres and it's not going anywhere, and just push that up into the hole there. And what you're going to have is it hanging, it's going to be hanging from a chain. So we just kind of push that up in the hole, and then it's going to be hanging. I just got one little chain link there. So you're able to kind of open the chain link and add it to your little toggles, and then you can hang it from that top section there. Next we have our little cross that we added our texture to. Just going to add a little glue behind it. First I want to add a really small piece of cardboard. Throw everything out of the way. I'm going to just cut a really thin piece of cardboard, and I'm going to actually lay it on the back of the cross to be sure it's not too wide. I don't want it to show to the front. So, and this might be something you'd want to use a clear pop dot for. I do use clear pop dots when I need them like this, when the cardboard will show. So, but I'm gonna make it work with the cardboard. I'm just going to be sure that it's hid. Place that right about there. There you go. Okay, the next thing I want to do is move into some of our metals. And we've got these metals here, number 579821. And I'm just going to take a couple of pieces out of here. And that's what I mean by being able to personalize some. You could use these other pieces that are in this package on another one. What I want to grab is this flower and this little, what is this, little twig or little grass, or I don't know what that is. Anyway, I like it. So we're going to use those two pieces from that package. Also, we're going to use a little pearl. This is just a little pearl from my stash. This flower opens out just a little bit. So I'm going to open it out. I'm going to add a little glue. And it's easier with this little pearl to add the glue to the metal. I've tried it both ways. This works. This is the fastest. And then I want to just kind of close that back up. So that's all there is to that. Going to add a little glue to the back of our twig. Place it right about there. Add a little glue to the back of our metal flower. Place it right about there. And I need my scissors. They help me maneuver things. Add that right about there. Okay, you can see we're just about done here. Filling this little baby right up. Next thing I want to add is the little scissors from the Debutante collection. I just want to do them as is. Place one of those just in this little area right here. It just helps that color, move that color across there. You still want balance in your tray. You want to have a nice visual effect on your eyes. So add that little pair of scissors there. Next I want to add these metals here, and I'm going to use all three pieces of this. This is number 579791, and these are just really pretty metal trinkets from the Timeless Memories collection. If I can get this open. And I am going to use, well, I can't get it open. I'm just going to cut it open. I'm going to use all three pieces of this just because I like all three pieces. This is kind of going to go to the top of the tray here. This one is going to go to the inside here. And then we're going to use this little frame to kind of frame this section right here. So I'm just going to kind of go in. Oops, I can't hold on to it. I'm going to add a little glue. Fabri-Tac works wonders with metals too. They stick so many things, or it sticks so many things. Add our little piece there. Add a little. I'm going to add the glue actually to the sides here of our box, so that I'm sure that I get it in the right place. I just kind of wipe away the excess and just add our little frame right there. And then we got our little metal. I'm going to hold off on the metal here for just a minute because I need to add our chain at the top. So got this far. Let's go ahead and add our chain at the top so we can move on and not make a mess with our inside. How I did this, there are these really cool little These are metal knobs. This is from the Memory Hardware. And I've got these little metal knobs, and I've already attached them to the chain. The way I did that was I took some of these little, let me find them, some of these little pieces here. What are these little babies called? Some of these little attachers here, like you would attach jewelry with. These are made by Prima, but I took these and I cut the amount of chain that I wanted, ran this through the chain, and then wrapped it around the top of our little knob here, and just with a pair of pliers just kind of smashed that until it was tight enough that it's not going to come off of our little knob. I have pre-cut holes with my actual hole punch here. I actually punched holes in the wood, and this is the We Are Memory Keepers crocodile. So I punched holes, one on each side. Got a question? They are called jump rings. They are called jump rings. Thank you very much. It's so funny when you're doing these shows. You like totally forget words that you know. Jump rings. Yes. Thank you, Carrie, or whoever knew that. Okay, inside the little knobs, you have little back screws. So I'm going to grab two of the little screws. Put everything back in my little bag. Is that another one, or is that the same thing? What does it say? And yep, and they are naked. I did not color them. They are naked for real. Okay, what we're going to do is take our little screws and just kind of push them up through our little hole. Y'all know I can't work without my scissors, so I'm going to use my scissors for this. I'm going to push them up through the little hole. Well, now I can't work with my scissors. I'm going to push them right up through that little hole. One in each one. And then this actually screws on. You actually can twist that and screw it right down. Love these little things. Easy peasy, quick, nice little hanger. I'm going to have to turn this so that I can see it to get them together, but just switch. It's so funny, I forgot jump ring. That's so funny. Lord help me. Okay. Get those on there. I listen to these videos back sometimes and I think, oh my gosh, I am from Alabama. Actually, I'm from Georgia, but I live in Alabama, so same difference. They talk like me in Georgia too. Okay, so then we have our little chain that I have actually pulled apart. So put it back on our little jump ring. Sorry about that. And I actually just kind of open these out with my scissors. Hold one side and with my fingernail use the other. Oh my heavens. How did I manage to do this? Okay, I'm going to give it about 2 seconds, and if I can't get it together, then we're going to move on. And y'all understand the gist. We don't have time for this to be falling apart here. I didn't squeeze that quite tight enough, I guess, that it turned loose. So, okay, got it back together. And I don't have my pliers, so I'm just going to squeeze it with my scissors. So you can see, there's our chain, just like so, and you can make it as long as you want it. So then we're going to go back and add our little medallion to the top here. And again, I'm going to add glue actually to the wood, and then I'm just going to kind of lay it down where I want it and just kind of move it around a little bit and just let it rest long enough to dry. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and center it, but just sort of let it rest there until it dries. That would be great. Okay, the next thing I want to do is move on to these little pretty, they are number 549749. These were in a kit recently, in one of the special delivery kits recently, and I just happened to have an extra box of them from some shopping spree, I'm sure. So I want to use these. I'm going to use this bigger one here. And I've already cut some chain. What did I do with it? I already had some chain ready. Where are you, little chain? I also want to use this one here too, but I can't do that till I find the chain, so bear with me 1 minute. I will locate it. Well, I say I will, but this is something else that I hate when I do when I'm on camera, because I'm sure it's laying right here and I just can't put my fingers on it. So give me just a minute. I may have like placed it up under something. I don't want to throw these off on the floor. Oh my word. Well, oh, hello, here it is. Hello. Okay, what I want to do is just open this up just a little bit here with my scissors. Just kind of open that up. Just about like that. And there's a little opening here. This is like a little piece of jewelry almost, to kind of stick that through. And then I'm just going to tighten that right down on itself. Just like so. And I've already added our little screw ring to the top here that I pulled from the little crosses. And I've already actually added my hole. I told you I just sort of twisted my scissors and made myself a little hole there. So I've already added the little screw eye to the top there. So all I have to do is just kind of, I require my scissors, just going to kind of push that in right there. Just be careful not to stab yourself. And that's going to hang just about like that. And I just kind of pre-counted my little chain links that I needed for that to fall down without coupling up there. I have another little charm here that I want to add. I've got a little screw eye here as well. Got the little screw eye there. So I want to add that. And you can see this is really easily done. Add my little screws. Open the chain up. Probably a lot easier without fingernails, but and I've got glue. Y'all know I've got glue to Kingdom Come here. So just kind of add that one. In fact, let's add a little screw. Okay, there's our little screw. Got our screw in there. It's easier to hold when you can get your little screw attached. And then add it to your little link here. There are probably jewelry makers out there that have a trick. There are any jewelry makers out there, you are so welcome to give us your tricks for this chain. I'm sure it's easier than this, but I'm not a jewelry maker, so I don't have a trick. I just squeeze and push. And okay, so we have that on. I'm not going to add this little charm here comes with some little letters. I did a B on the other one. I'm going to hold off on adding a letter to this one. This is 579876, and I'm just going to add the charm. When I decide what I'm going to do with this, then I will add my So what I'm going to do is just make sure my hole is open after I've done my lace here, and just kind of push that in, because I pre-did all these holes knowing, and you can do that so easily with these little pointy scissors. This packaging is really soft wood, so you can see these just hang down so pretty when you do that. So we've got that there. The next thing I want to do is our other little doll face, and I grabbed her from number 583248, and I'm just going to kind of cut this package open because she's the last one in there. I'm not going to use the whole flower. I just want her face. I just want the little doll's face. So I'm just going to kind of pull. I'm going to save her flower for another project. So I'm going to kind of keep her flower safe over there. Just kind of want to lay her down here. And you know what? I may have actually used a different one because she looks a little big. Hold on. Yeah, I did. I actually did. So I don't have another one. So I'm going to grab her. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to actually have to show you. You can see I used a smaller one. And all I did, I just used her as is. And I added a little of the matte gel just to the side of her face and dropped a few of the blush colored little micro beads. So that's all that I did to her, but I'll have to actually get another pack of flowers so that I can add the same one back in there because she was a little bit smaller, so she fit in that little cubby pretty well. So we won't worry about filling her up. And then I'll have this flower for another project. And this is a really, it looks like the little Gerber baby. She's got a little hair curl, got like a little curl on her forehead. She's really pretty face. So we'll use her on another project. So we'll move on. Next thing I used here is the bird. And the bird comes from the Garden Fable collection. All I did is just add a little glue to the back, and I placed it right about there. Also from the Epiphany collection, I have some wood. And so you can kind of see how you can grab lots of different things. I used my little birdhouse from the Epiphany, and I used it kind of on the back side. And I touched it with just a little bit of ink. So you can see I grabbed a little bit of sort of the Old Road ink, and on the back side I just added a little bit of ink, left a little bit of my natural wood color kind of showing through, and what I did is just glue it right down in that area right there. Then I went back to my little flowers here. Kind of move everything around. This is coming together now. I used another metal flower just kind of in the center right there with a little glue. This metal flower, I used it right here with just a little bit of glue. Okay, and then I actually here and here I used a couple of other embellishments that I don't think I have with me. So let's just grab a couple of things to kind of put there. Let's just grab a few. This is the wood embellishments from the Princess collection. So let's grab a few little pieces here. I like this little crown. Kind of add this little crown maybe in. Stand it up maybe a little bit in that little area right there. But let's add a little of the dark color. So you can just actually use any kind of embellishments in here, just kind of whatever you have. I did use a key with a few little bling pieces before, but I do kind of like the crown too. So let's just add a little glue and just kind of place it in right about there. And we do have one more charm, but I don't think I want to add that there. Let's actually add a little boot. That would look really cute, I think, right there. And this is from the Debutante collection. Because I happen to have all these little pieces, we can just kind of mix and match it. So we'll add a little boot right about there. And I think I want to pop that up. I think it does need to be popped up just maybe one little cardboard width. Add that little bit of cardboard and a little bit more glue. Pop that up right about there. Okay, and the last thing that I did, you can see we pretty much have all of our holes full. I used a button, and these buttons actually come off of a coat jacket that belonged to my daddy. When he passed away, I had a lot of his clothes, and I love buttons, and so this is still threaded actually from his suit. I glued the back of it to save the thread, and periodically I use these buttons on projects just kind of in memory of him, and I know what they are, and so if this goes to a family member, they'll know kind of what that is as well. So I added that little button right there. And you can kind of do that. Grab things that are sentimental, you know, from your past and from your relatives, and they make really nice embellishments for your artwork. Just makes these little things, the memories of these little things, so much nicer. I'm gonna just kind of pounce our glue back here and I'm gonna add a few more beads here, because I've kind of manipulated this a little much. And what I'm going to do is go in too and add some more micro beads. This is the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little bit of matte gel just to the bottom edge of my little medallion here at the top. I'm going to add a little bit to the bird, just kind of across the top of his head and his tail. Add a little bit here to this flower. I want to add just a little bit kind of down the edge of this boot. Add a little bit here, and I just want to move these micro beads kind of all around the thing here, and I'm just going to kind of pinch them out so there's so many of them are not falling out. I don't really want to pour them, but I'm just going to kind of, and once they dry, I'll kind of just turn this upside down in the trash can or in a bowl. If I want to save them, I could turn it upside down in a bowl and be able to reuse all these. But you can see this is my last step to just kind of add a little bit more detail. You can also go back in with a few brads and bling pieces and add those kind of around the brads that come in all the collections. They're just really pretty to add more detail. I'm just going to kind of throw these on so we got good coverage everywhere. And I believe I even added a little bit to my cross here. So just add a few there. And then you can always go in with a few bling pieces if you want. And these are from the Something Blue collection. These are just kind of some clear blings. Grab my scissors. Can't do these without my scissors. So I'm just going to kind of pull these off. Be sure you get your glue. I want to add one kind of down in that area right there. Add one right about there. I may even add one to the boot here. Well, maybe not. Add one right about there to the boot. But you kind of get the gist of that when you did a few on this little flower. A few micro beads there on the flower. Just for a little extra detail. Also, I did go in with some pearls. I've got these at, I think, Hobby Lobby. They come already kind of in a string, already kind of sticky, or kind of in a row, kind of sticky. And I just actually glued a few of these in and around our, just for more texture. So I've got a couple of sizes of these. I've used the pearl there, so just to kind of move these around, I used a few more. And when they're in a row like this and they're already on adhesive, you can just kind of cut them with your scissors, whatever size you want them, or however many you want. And then you can just kind of lay these down where you want them. Just want a few there. And again, this just adds some texture. Just the more texture, the better. So that kind of gives you an idea of what I did and how it all works. So that is it. I am going to give you a little peek, and then I will pan up, and you can see we will be done. And don't forget, I'm going to add my little doll face there a little bit later. But it just sort of brings that across the page and finishes that up. And I have no idea what time we've got, but I'm just going to go ahead and pan up and tell y'all good night and happy 4th of July. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll get this camera situated any minute. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I really always enjoy getting to chat with you. I have no idea what time it is because I can't find my phone now. So anyway, y'all have a great night, and don't forget to come on Tuesday to see Julie, and check out the blog every day. There are tons of sneak peeks going up. I'm loving that every day, seeing all those new sneak peeks. I can't wait to get my hands on all the new products. So just one more quick look. I got beads going everywhere, so one more quick look, and that's my project. Happy 4th of July to everybody in the United States, and have a great weekend, everybody else. Thanks again. See y'all later. Bye.